Welcome back to another episode of Stories from the Shed. My name is Adam, and with me again this week is a man who wants someone to look at him the way he looks at chocolate cake. Jake, how you doing?
I'm good.
Good?
Good. Yep, this drink is great.
Yeah, right. We're doing something a little different today. We're mixing it up.
Yeah, a little bit.
We're bringing
we're not doing it. Our guest is doing it.
Yeah. So who is our guest today?
Good question.
Erica, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, she's Erica?
Erica.
Oh, okay.
Caught her off guard there for a second there.
Let's play 21 questions. How about that?
We could do that.
We could do that, but that would be boring as shit.
Erica?
Yeah.
How old are you? What brings you to the podcast?
You never ask a woman how old she is.
Well,
Yeah, how dare you?
We're breaking the ice here.
No, I'm 31-year-old single mom, and I work with you at the bank.
And you found this story for us. This is something that you found and suggested that we cover.
Yes, I did find this story, and I was not even halfway through, and I thought it was very interesting.
It's definitely something a little bit different than what we've been doing lately. Wouldn't you say, Jake?
Yeah, I would say so. This one's a lot more current than a lot of the stuff that we've done in the past.
Still ongoing.
Yeah, right. And it's fitting that it has to do with a bank.
Has to do with
because
the bank?
you two both happen to work at a banking institution.
At a bank.
That's right.
Right.
A place of finance.
A place of finance.
And
I thought you were going to say a place of fine arts.
Well, that too. There's some fine art there too.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
But anyway,
Wow.
so this story takes place in Puerto Rico, which is why we're kind of mixing up our drink.
Oh, Puerto Rico?
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
So, Erica, what are we drinking?
We are drinking Smirnoff Dragonberry Bacardi, or not.
Puerto Rico.
Oh.
We are drinking Dragonberry Bacardi mixed with Sprite today, and it tastes like the rainbow.
It does
really
taste like
does.
the rainbow. This song makes me think of the rainbow.
It's very uplifting like a rainbow. I'm not going to lie, I'm jealous of their national anthem. It's kind of nice. And what's weird is they're like a U.S. territory, so they really shouldn't even have their own national anthem. It should be,
Hey,
it should
don't
be
tell
the other
that
one.
to a Puerto
You know what I
Rican.
mean?
States
Well, no, I
have
know
their
that.
own songs, though.
That is true.
Oh, that's true.
That is true.
That's true. What's the main song? Does anybody know?
I don't know. Something about chickadees and
Fucking
Moose
Tire
and
Warehouse,
blueberries.
maybe?
definitely tire.
I don't know. Something weird.
They mentioned Roopers.
Subarus.
So we're not
Subarus, yeah.
we're not drinking beers tonight. We're drinking a mixed drink from Puerto Rico, which is different. This is a shed first.
I'm cool with it.
Glad to help you out with the first.
Right?
Boy, this sounds like the beginning of the Lord of the Rings or something.
It's really great. I'm not going to lie. What do you give this one? How many Scully fingers?
Oh, this drink here is definitely going to get a good 4.5 Skelly fingers. Absolutely.
I'm going with 5 because I love mixed drinks.
I was saying this drink is one of those that you could have a problem with.
This
You
is
could
one
drink
of
a couple
those-
of these real quick, and all of a sudden you're.
You can make it very strong and not even notice.
Well, that's what I was just thinking. I'm like, I could suck one of these down real quick, and then I realize I'm halfway through mine already, so I'm going to
Yeah.
put it down.
Jay,
Probably
could
a
you
good
make
idea.
it in San Juan?
I don't know. I think I would drink too much alcohol.
You would.
I do that enough here. I don't really need to go anywhere else to do that. You know what I mean?
Oh, but there you can get right off the plane, go to the beach, have a drink.
But I can have a beer on the plane, too. I can pregame before I get there.
You can. So
Wow,
yeah.
this just got really,
Making
really...
plans already.
This just got really... Oh, and now it stopped.
That was kind of beautiful. I don't know. That was another shed first.
Yeah, right?
Holy smokes! So today, the shed is moving from cold Maine to beautiful San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
This is great. This is the cheapest vacation I've ever had.
I know, it's great.
So we're gonna have a lot of fun on this one
Same
here.
here.
So Erica, you found this story for us. So why don't you tell us a little bit about who this story's about?
This story's about Maurice Spagnoletti. He started out working in banking as a teenager. He worked for a couple of different banks, and when this bank, Doral in Puerto Rico, needed somebody to come in and clean house, they offered him a bunch of money to do it.
Yeah, and he was kind of somebody that stood out right from the beginning. When this banker arrived on the island of Puerto Rico, he made a quick first good impression. He stood at 6'2" tall and about 250 pounds with a strong New Jersey accent.
New Jersey.
Yes.
Joyzy.
And he had hands that he would use to punctuate his sentences. You know, he was an Italian guy, so he really was...
Oh, so he was kind of like Trump, where he would just... This is the end.
I don't
This
know.
is what I mean.
No, he seemed to walk through and talk to all the little people.
Okay, so he's not a dick.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
He
good.
doesn't sound like a dick.
But anyway,
that's good.
so this guy here, what brought him to the bank? So I guess maybe we should start prior to why would this guy from New Jersey end up in Puerto Rico in a bank?
Yeah, let's do a job interview with him.
Yeah.
What makes you want to move to Puerto Rico?
Well, what made him qualified? He started working at a bank, I believe, at a young age, correct?
Yes, I believe he was 19 when he started working at a bank.
And he started as, what, a teller? Or?
He started working as a bank teller in New Jersey as a teenager. He went and got his business degree at night and worked his way up in about over 20 years and became the president of Summit Bank's Pennsylvania division.
So it's safe to assume this guy was a hard worker from the beginning, and he came from a good Italian family from what I've read.
Mm-hmm.
And so what had happened, from what I understand, is this bank had been in Puerto Rico. It wasn't a terribly old bank. It was started by Polish immigrants. I believe it was people that were that left Poland escaping the Nazi invasion.
Yes, the founder was Solomon Levis. His Jewish father fled Poland. Yeah.
Yes, and so he ended up in Puerto Rico.
In Cuba.
Cuba, rather. That's correct. Yeah, because actually there was a common place, I believe, for exiles at the time.
Yeah, and that's where Solomon was born, and then they moved to Puerto Rico.
Yes, and from there they started off, I think it was just with a loan business.
Yep, 1972, they started a mortgage company.
Yes.
And it became Doral Bank, and it took off as the island prospered. By 2001, it had about half of the island's mortgages.
So from that time, it started off as just a mortgage company, and then it grew into a bank, and then it over time grew into a larger bank. And at that time, at the time of this incident, it was the largest bank in Puerto Rico.
One of the largest, yep.
So what started to go wrong with this bank?
So in 2005, the bank actually revealed that it had inflated its earning by about $1 billion.
So what exactly does that mean?
Holy shit.
They were basically saying they were worth more money than they were.
Wow. And the government can't track that, Jake? You would imagine, right?
Oh, I would imagine. I know nothing about finance. You're the finance wizard, dude.
Well, this stuff is heavily...
cars.
Well, this stuff is heavily monitored.
I'm sure it is, but it's also a lot of paperwork.
That could be fudged.
Right.
So would you say that a lot of this corruption was probably happening or was happening by higher up officials?
Oh, definitely. Levis was never charged, but his nephew actually went to prison for fraud. And
Really?
the family was forced out of the bank.
So now you have the original owners that took this bank from nothing to what it was, and now they're out of the bank.
Right.
And then who came in to take place here, to take charge after? I believe it was somebody that was maybe a little bit different than your normal head of banking, right?
Well, John Ward was appointed the interim chief executive officer in 2005. But then they brought in...
Ooh, pick me. I know this one.
You got that one? Oh, Jake, what
Yeah.
you got?
They brought in Mr. Glenn Wakeman, who was running GE's Capital consumer credit business in Mexico and the rest of Latin America at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's correct. Now, Wakeman believed in the GE management philosophy, he even took that over to his banking. He liked to talk about the Six Sigma, the quality mantra, popularized by the former GE CEO John Welch, who was somebody that if you look up on Wikipedia, there's a lot of information just on him. He hired bankers from Bear Stearns to find new investors.
Hey, is that one of those big banks that we bailed out back in 2000, whatever?
Most probably.
We bailed a lot of banks out.
Yeah,
Yep.
we did.
Yep. He found new investors. He shuttled them from New York to meet with hedge fund people.
Mm-hmm.
And so they kind of started to resolve the problem that the levies had been found guilty of.
Ah, okay.
Now, I'll need some help with that name there. Is that Lesbia?
Lesbia?
Lesbia Blanco.
Lesbia Blanco, yes. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about Lesbia Blanco? Somebody.
Well, she was 59 at the time, and she was a human resource officer at Johnson & Johnson. She was one of the new executives. So she was the new chief talent and administrative officer. So she was part of Wakeman's inner circle.
So this bank is definitely kind of pulling people from all kinds of different walks, all kinds of different business backgrounds to kind of reinvigorate this institution is what it sounds like to me. Huh, Jake?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. It wasn't long for her, anyway, to discover that something was really odd at Doral Bank. One Saturday in either 2006 or 2007, she claims that she was working overtime to help prepare the bank for for Wall Street investors, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a security guard came by her office, and he told her that there was someone in Wakeman's office he didn't recognize, and showed her a security camera picture of a man wearing a beaded necklace and clothes that were unusually casual for the executive offices.
Wow, that's weird. Like somebody was in there maybe shopping around looking for something.
Or maybe someone's just balling.
You
You know what I mean? Like, I don't need a suit. Fuck you. I'm a billionaire. It could be either or.
Yeah, so she goes over to investigate, and Wakeman's secretary was actually there with the stranger, and she told Blanco that the man was her Santeria godfather, and that he was helping the bank recapitalize.
Now, what exactly is Santeria?
Oh,
It's some sort of religion. I know that much. I know the song, the Sublime song. I don't practice Santeria, blah blah blah.
Yeah, that's right.
I've never heard that.
Oh, you've never heard that song? Oh, if I could play that without getting us in trouble, I would.
Well, this one emerged in the 16th century among people in
Yeah, that's
West
the same time that
Africa,
song came out.
Fucking feels that way, yeah.
called, I'm probably going to murder this word, but Yoruba.
Yoruba.
Yeah. So they were enslaved, brought to the Caribbean, and they basically, to be able to practice their religion in secret, because they were basically being forced to become Catholic, they picked certain saints to represent their deities, so that way they could worship them in secret, and they did drum circles and animal sacrifices in the woods.
Oh, okay then.
Okay, so it's kind of like
Something like John Mark Byers thought was going on in the woods.
yeah.
Some sort of weird shit.
Some kind of
All
weird
Some of it
shit,
had
yeah.
to do with like divination, like they throw I think it was coconut rinds down, and they could like tell you stuff about the future or whatever.
I mean, we say weird shit, but the religion now has about 70,000 followers in Puerto Rico, according to
Puerto Rico.
Joaquin Kimi-Solis, president of the island's Yoruba Association. So they're even represented. They have an association.
Yeah.
And so anyways, why don't we, Jake, tell us a little bit about Blanco. What's up with him when you saw the CEO's office?
Well, first of all, I think it's a she. How dare you? How dare you?
It's been a long week, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, Blanco's definitely a she. She basically started seeing Rivera on the executive floor more and more. He had access to Glenn's office directly, and she said her secretary once had to clean Wakeman's clothes at the Santeria priest's house.
So you think maybe there was some kind of stuff going on there? Maybe some religious stuff going on, or
Yeah, they do sacrifices and stuff like that, so probably.
Ugh, weird.
that is kind of different.
That's really weird.
Now, Blanco wondered why the American CEO was dabbling in their local religion. But I don't really think it's that odd, particularly. But anyways, he kept her questions to herself. Wakeman was close with the secretary, Nancy Velez. Other than his driver, who doubled as a bodyguard, she was the only person allowed to ride in the executive elevator with him. It's kind of weird. She would walk around with him, walk around the building with him, carrying his briefcase. So she was basically just there for everything he needed. She even kissed him goodbye on the cheek when he got into his chauffeured car.
What, are they dating?
No, this was his assistant.
It's actually not that uncommon in Puerto Rico.
Really?
It's kind of like French. You kiss people hello and goodbye. Same thing.
okay.
I go to Mexico a lot, and everybody kisses like on the
Okay.
cheek and stuff.
All right,
Actually,
that's fair.
That's something that I had read too, and I had read into that part as well.
All right, well, now I just sound like an asshole. My B, I'm sorry.
Some of the other employees did start to notice some unusual things. One in particular, Juan de la Cruz, he was a vice president for the secretary. He said that somebody told him Velez and Rivera were conducting Santeria rituals in the boardroom.
That's a weird place to conduct a religious ritual.
I think so too.
I think so,
Yeah,
too.
right? And stranger things have happened in the Oval Office.
Could you,
but-
Yeah,
could you
that's
imagine that at
true.
work?
Yeah, someone was served McDonald's, I heard. Oh, no. Oh, no.
I want to go to the White House for some McDonald's.
Yeah, I agree. It's probably the best tasting McDonald's you're ever going to get.
Anyways, let's take us back to Puerto Rico.
So he checked the security cameras that were in the hallway because there was none in the boardroom, and he did see Rolando walking with luggage and some bottles in his hand. He dropped the inquiry, though, after some other employees who practiced the same Santeria told him that the rituals were sanctioned by Wakeman.
So this was something sanctioned by
It was allowed to happen.
at
right,
the
by,
bank.
Wake
by the
man.
CEO. Yep.
Huh. All right, then.
So that's kind of weird. You're like bringing religion into the workplace, which almost in America, well, mainland America rather, United States, it's like the opposite happening.
Right.
But anyways, a former administrative assistant who asked for anonymity, didn't want anybody to know who this individual was, because she was afraid of the Babalobo. Say that one again, huh? Babalabalabo.
I think it's Babalawa.
Something like
Babalawa.
Babalawo.
Babalabalabo.
Babalawa.
Anyways,
something.
says Velez told her about one ritual involving a caiman, an alligator-like reptile native
I
to the
looked
Puerto
it up.
Rico.
It looks
Yeah,
just like an
they're
alligator.
huge. They're huge.
Yeah.
Velez and other Doral, right?
Good job.
Yeah, I've been practicing. Employees drove the caiman to the parking lot early one Sunday. The former assistant says they used Velez access to the executive elevator to bypass security. So they're running in there with this giant ass elevator. Dressed
Elevator or alligator?
alligator in an
Both.
elevator. Both, right? Sounds like a Nintendo game.
It really does.
So they're dressed all in white.
Mm-hmm.
They took the caiman into the conference room and invoked the names of each board member. The former assistant says that she was told. She says that she was told. She adds that she thinks that the creature wasn't killed because she didn't see any blood the next day. And I'd imagine that would create a hell of a mess.
Oh, yeah.
Unless it's like they set it up like a Dexter kill lab, with fucking plastic everywhere. Then.
Right. Or just like made one little cut over a bucket or something. Who knows?
So what else do we got, Jake?
I don't know. You tell me. You tell me. I'm lost.
Do we need to take a break here?
No, I'm good. Keep
Okay.
going.
So Lizzie Rosso, which is Doral's general manager for customer banking at the time, she said someone who was at the Cayman ritual told her about it the following Monday. Other former Doral employees didn't want to discuss it. She thinks that they were afraid of the Santeria and the consequences. And she even goes on to say, "I don't want to be killed."
Now was this
While
somehow,
she laughs nervously like Hillary Clinton.
Now was this somehow tied into the banking, like the money embezzlement and all the? I mean, is it? What I'm asking is this religious organization in this bank, which is what it is, somehow sifting the funds from the bank? Is that where all this came from?
Oh yeah,
So that's kind of crazy. I mean, that's just
they're known for their gang affiliations.
really.
Yeah.
And things continue to go on there too as well.
Yeah, and at first, Doral seems to be successful. In May 2007, it sold 90% of its stock for $610 million to a group of investors, including Bear Stearns, Goldman Sachs, Marathon Assistant Management, D.E. Shaw, and Perry Capital.
Wow.
So they're looking pretty good
Oh, yeah.
at this time.
Wow.
And then 11 months later, Rivera was given a contract to clean Doral's headquarters and branch offices. Somebody that headed up previous janitorial services said that she'd never heard of Rivera, and she's been in it for 17 years in the local cleaning business. Rivera's company's name is SJ Tropical Maintenance Services. It wasn't registered until a month before he won the contract. Yeah.
Yeah,
That sounds fishy.
that definitely sounds fishy.
Not at all. Other companies would charge about $23,000 a month. SJ Tropical was given $27,350 a month.
Wow.
Oh, well, they're on the high end. They better be doing something special.
Yeah. Well, Wakeman sanctioned that contract.
Yeah.
Oh.
Good to go.
Okay, so it sounds like Wakeman's just giving money to his friends so far.
Yeah. Well, it was basically a reward for helping Glenn keep the bank afloat, because the owner is Rolando, who is the Santeria godfather.
Oh, okay. All right.
Wakeman was a busy guy. He was also had been working as a consultant in Miami since Doral failed.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just one guy that's one great job lined up after another.
I feel like he skated right by.
Yeah. And you see this happen with so many people. He denies any allegations he'd been involved with Rivera practicing any of this, or rewarded a high priestess. So later on, after all this washes out, he's just going to say he had nothing to do with it.
Uh-huh.
So it's almost at this point it's a his say versus their say kind of a thing.
Right.
Yeah, but Rivera's lawyers do, I think, come out with their own comments.
Yeah, they said that he was a high-profile priest and he didn't perform any ritual for a bank. He wasn't getting paid for any Santeria whatsoever, she says. What the hell's the lawyer's name? Melanie Carrillo
Jimenez.
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 Okay. He wasn't getting paid for any Santeria whatsoever, she says. Where the hell did this come from? She's got a big mouth. I like that.
Everybody?
Yeah, right.
Everybody knows.
It's crazy.
So their vice president for property and facilities, Annalise Figueroa.
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 Yeah.
Yeah,
Can't
get
remember
right.
to get that accent in there. She oversaw the new, more expensive maintenance contract. She said that the contract included additional services that were approved by Wakeman, and Figueroa says that he did practice Santeria. He used Rolando, she says. When I found out, I obviously thought it was weird, but then again, you can't mess with people's religions.
Is it really messing with someone's religion if you just ask them a question?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
But some people get weird about their religion.
Yeah, that's true. Some people get really diehard into it.
Mm-hmm.
That's very true.
That's true. But basically, all this guy is denying is basically with his denial of being involved in this religion, he's just trying to separate himself from
I was
any
going
of
to
the...
say he's trying to sever the connection between him and Rolando.
Yeah.
Besides their cleaning contract.
Thing is that Figueroa, Blanco, and her boss didn't make any issue of the janitorial contract, but in 2009 and 2010, they accused each other of inflating the costs of the services. You're taking the money. No, you're taking the money.
Exactly.
When you discover that you're both taking the money.
Pointing fingers to get the heat off of you.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, then.
Yeah, and Blanco says she investigated her subordinate and told Wakeman that the bank should fire Figueroa.
Mm-hmm.
She has a loud mouth.
And then he basically started freezing her out and didn't include her in their meetings and stuff like that.
So after that comment, he started turning on that one.
Right, because she was starting to notice things going on.
Yeah, so let's kind of hide a little bit.
Right.
Now, at some point, I think Blanco left Doral.
Yes, in October 2010.
Because they had already started giving a lot of her access to Spagnoletti.
That's right.
Spagnoletti, yeah.
Spagnoletti.
See, Spagnoletti sounds like a weird pasta that nobody would want to eat.
Spagnoletti, the San Francisco treat.
Yeah, that works too.
Kind of works.
Yeah, all right.
So basically, with all this going on, they ended up bringing in Spagnoletti from New Jersey.
They did. They actually offered him
From
quite
New
a bit of
Jersey.
money, too.
Joyzy.
Joyzy.
Good money?
Oh, it was anywhere good money.
It doesn't take much, let's be honest.
They offered him
A lot of money.
a minimum of $5 million.
Holy
Wow.
shit.
I guess we'll go to Puerto Rico for $5 million.
Yeah, well, not only that, but look at the tax breaks you get as a business. We should just incorporate and move down to Puerto Rico.
That's
Let's
right.
get on that donate button.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's
Yeah.
do it. Move our business down to
We're
Puerto
gonna
Rico.
move the shed.
Okay,
Same
so-
shed, same sound, better view.
That's right,
Right,
and
yeah.
no snow.
We'll have a window.
I'm totally cool. Yeah, right.
I'll be a translator. It's fine. But $5 million in pay over the first 2 years, and then
Oh,
a
wow.
$1.5 million in stock, and $6 million to make up for his GE pension.
Wow. Holy
That-
crap. That's a lot of money.
So when
And then they move his ass to Puerto Rico, too.
Right. Well, at first, they him and his wife he was going back and forth between Puerto Rico and New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then they, I think it was 2010 when they decided to just stay in Puerto Rico.
Oh, okay.
So when he came in, I mean, he was really hired to start cleaning things up, to see what was going on here. You know, this was starting to gain a lot of interest with people back here in the States too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of interesting how that all plays out. But before we go any deeper into this, maybe it's time for a beer break
Yeah, I'm cool
or
with
a
that.
whatever break.
A whatever we're drinking
Break.
break. Yeah, that. We're back.
Yes, we
I
are.
just switched to water.
Welcome back.
Welcome
you.
back. Welcome, water.
Thank you.
Ooh.
Did I make a shoe strong for you?
No, I just know I probably shouldn't drink another one.
Well, every time you turn your back, he was pouring a little bit more in there, you know.
Oh, was he? Is that why it's empty now?
That's right.
Yeah, right. That's exactly why. That's why the bottle's over there on the floor.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
So, Jake, like we were saying, before we get too far into his final job in Puerto Rico, why don't you tell us a little bit about what brought him to Puerto Rico?
What brought him to Puerto Rico? A
Yeah.
job. You just answered your own question.
I know, right? But
Well, you want to go over a little bit of what he did before he got to Puerto Rico?
yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about that? It's probably a good idea.
All right. Well, in 2000, he joined Fifth, F-I-F-T-H. I can't say that word.
Fifth.
Third Bank. He became head of its Central Indiana affiliate, pressing over branch openings and organizing field trips for school kids.
Cool.
Oh, what a nice guy.
He's swell.
He seems like a pretty good guy.
He won over his new colleagues with jokes, but held them accountable for meeting goals they set. So, like a good manager.
That's what it sounds like to me.
He can be your friend and your boss.
And I
Yeah,
think we're
right.
going to find he's going to have a reputation for that
Right.
He's respectable.
as this goes on.
Very rare to find that.
He invited them and their spouses to his home for food. We'll just put it that way because I can't pronounce.
Well, bocce, it's a
Is it bocce?
Is it bocce?
it's the little balls with the you throw the ball at the try who gets the big ball close to the little ball.
Never.
Woo! Anyways, they played bocce and had pasta.
Yeah, whatever that is. B-O-C-C-E. I'm just going to assume that's how you pronounce it.
Oh, well, we bocce a bit here.
I've never heard of this until just now. He said the word "great" so much that it became a running joke at the office.
That's great.
That's great.
That is great.
That is great.
I love Spagnoletti.
A few years later, at another bank in South Carolina, he moved to New Jersey in about 2008, and it was because I guess I'm assuming
His wife,
that's his
Marissa,
wife.
yeah, her father was dying.
Okay, you can take this from here because I'm starting to already stumble on it.
So he used the free time to dote on his daughter, who was a 3 at the time. Bruce Balmas, who worked with him at Fifth Third and Doral, says his friend would call him from the park and say, I could never have done this before. So he was enjoying his time that he was able to spend with his kid.
That's
Who
great.
doesn't?
Yeah, and 2 years later, recruiters contacted Maurice. Some people called him Maurice. Asking if he'd consider moving to Puerto Rico. So at this time, things are already kind of building up for that.
Right, they came to him.
Now, this is when they, to go back into that big package at Doral, they offered him all that money. So, of course, he's now there in Puerto Rico. Spagnoletti actually arrives in September of 2010.
Yep.
Um,
And Wakeman at the time was battling the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. He was saddled with billions in loans that the bank had made under its previous owners. As Puerto Rico went into recession, Doral had to keep marking the loans down, eroding its capital. So the FDIC blocked Wakeman's plan to buy assets from Doral's rivals. So without a clear plan for growth. Some of the bank's Wall Street investors actually bolted. Goldman Sachs lost at least $30 million. The hedge funds Marathon, D.E. Shaw, and Perry lost about $50 million each.
yeah, so it sounds like all this giant veil that they had been able to hide is now starting to fall off.
Yeah, when investors are losing money, that's not good.
They run.
And Spagnoletti admired Wakeman as a CEO and believed the bank could have turned around. So that's something that he had thought prior. Now, this is a quote. He says, I'm working harder than ever, but I must say I love it. So this guy, not only is he there getting to know people doing this job, he's having a good time. So this might have even been the best time, maybe some of the better times of his life, living down in
Right,
a
he
place where
probably
the
liked the
weather's great.
challenge.
And so this, Spagnoletti wrote in an email to a friend on April 22nd of 2011, I made significant contributions and feel very appreciated. One problem is the lack of talent. I need to check everyone's answers twice. Otherwise, this is a GE type environment. So they're going back even into that, his learnings as an earlier working man, back into that.
Right,
that
it
was-
definitely sounds like the bank didn't make good choices on who they were hiring either.
Right.
No.
So it was hard for the Spagnoletti family, because, coming from
Jersey.
Jersey and making this commute. as we said earlier, Spagnoletti commuted from New Jersey, and Marissa never stayed. They never stayed apart much more than about 3 days. So this guy was flying.
Holy shit! Can you
It's a lot of
imagine being
traveling.
on a plane every 2 or 3 days, just going from Puerto Rico back to New Jersey?
And they
My
had a little girl
God.
at the time too.
I
So,
love traveling, but I hate the flight.
Well, throw a kid into that mix.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they said that they lived in Marriott hotels for a while, and then a condo in Condonado Beach, which is I believe where they how you would say that, Condonado?
Condenado.
Yeah, well that's where they lived at the time when he was killed. In the spring of 2011, Spagnoletti hired Balmas as a consultant. They had dinner at an Italian restaurant on the beach at nights. They do some gambling in the casino, so just kind of paint a scenery of what this community looked like, kind of a rich, fun place for people to live. So this guy was living it up. Him and his family was living it up. Things were looking great.
Yep.
Until things, as we're going to see here, are going to change for them. Almost from the get-go, Spagnoletti clashed with Figueroa, who at the time was still the facilities vice president. And
She's the one that handled the Santeria priest maintenance contract.
yeah, so why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Because I know you'd read quite
They
a
thought
bit.
about purchases as small as tables, and she even had a lawsuit filed against the bank in 2012 for gender discrimination.
You're a high. No. Nope.
I mean,
Keep
it's
going.
possible, but
Nope.
Jake,
Not even touching it.
Jake, I looked
No.
at you as soon as I was like, Jake's got one for this.
No, I don't. No, I don't. Keep going.
So March 8th, Spagnoletti emailed Figueroa and asked her whether she understood that she was supposed to follow his orders. He said, "Do you understand that? That as vice president of this company, you are also expected to always exercise good judgment in the performance of your duties?" She wrote, "Yes, always have and always will," and it looks like she probably did that in all caps to kind of yell at him.
But she was doing some crazy shit too. So I mean, I can certainly understand why he would be writing emails, kind of, like that, right, Jake? I mean,
What? Sorry.
he doesn't seem like he's completely out of line to me.
No.
No.
He runs day-to-day operations in Puerto Rico.
Right, it's his job to be her boss and tell her to do her job.
Right.
If you're not doing what you got to do, you shouldn't be getting paid for it, right?
No,
Yep.
Now, Spagnoletti's
Man, we should
wife,
apply that law everywhere.
yeah, right. Spagnoletti's wife, Marissa, alleged that her lawsuit that her husband uncovered was the lawsuit that was placed on him was because he had uncovered fraudulent activity at Doral.
And that's why he was murdered.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what ends up happening here is one day, actually it wasn't just one day, it was Spagnoletti's wife, Marissa's birthday.
The day before, yep.
They had family coming in from New Jersey. They had, of course, like we said, they lived on the beach at this beautiful place. They have their loved ones coming in.
Can you imagine coming from New Jersey and going down to Puerto Rico?
Oh,
Yeah,
you know
I've done
what?
it for
It's
Maine.
amazing.
It must have been a great time. It must have been, so people were excited. They were happy. They were going to show their new lives to their families, to their friends.
Right.
And tell me a better time than his wife's birthday.
Perfect excuse to get everybody down there.
So Spagnoletti, they've got family coming in. He leaves work early. He says, he tells everybody, says goodbye. He says, I'm going to take off. I got a few things I got to take care of as the family's coming in. We're going to have a hell of a time tonight.
Right. Normally the commute's only about 15 minutes.
Well, yeah, and he also had to make a quick stop to go get balloons and stuff like that. I believe his car was full of
I think
balloons.
it was red balloons, yeah.
Full of red balloons. So he's driving, but like it is in these places, it's normally, it can be, these congested places where it can be 15 minutes or maybe fucking 15 days to get anywhere you got to go.
Yeah, right.
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, Jake, you've been to California, so you kind of know how that's,
I love California, but their traffic is terrible.
yeah.
I've heard.
So it's one of these kind of places, and he's held up in traffic.
Yep, he had to slow down coming to an overpass for some traffic, yeah.
And a vehicle, I didn't, do you guys have the description of the vehicle? I don't.
No, nobody saw who did it, but there was at least 9 shots made into the car, and some hit him in his head.
Yeah. It was from a 40 caliber pistol. So it was a 40 caliber pistol. There was 9 shots, and unfortunately 4 of them hit him in the head.
Yeah.
Ending his life right in his vehicle as he was.
Because his car was still moving, he ended up all
Yeah.
over the side of the road.
Yes, that's exactly how I took it here too.
Yep.
So this kind of, I think, went cold right away. Is that how you guys took it too?
Yeah, it feels like it kind of stayed unsolved, or at least whatever the police knew they weren't sharing
Yeah.
for a long time.
So quickly, the investigation into Spagnoletti's murder began.
Oh, yeah. Right away.
And at that time, Doral started to struggle, coupled with the fact that the Puerto Rican economy was crippling as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a couple of things going on here. The bank's loans became worthless. There's nothing backing them. The FDIC wouldn't give Doral's balance sheets its seal of approval. And without Doral cannot get the money it needs to operate. So now
Right.
you're seeing a bank completely just collapse inside on each other.
Right.
Because
and
one
then-
guy died.
Isn't that crazy?
It was also the
Yeah.
economy was already starting to go down, and because of everything that was going on. But Wakeman did try expanding into the U.S. He moved Doral's headquarters to Miami in 2013. They did show a profit in the U.S. that year, but it definitely was not enough to make up for the Puerto Rican portfolio.
Talk about like a house of cards.
Right. And Puerto Rico's portfolio was definitely their biggest portfolio.
Right, because it's where everything started and where they'd been open the longest.
Right.
So not much happened in 2010 up until about 2014, really, I'd say.
Not that I could find.
No, in 2014, Puerto Rico created a major crimes unit. It was headed by Captain Ferdinand Acosta.
Ferdinand.
Ferdinand Acosta. And he took up the Spagnoletti murder. I mean, he was on it. There wasn't many leads, like we had said. None of the 911 callers even got a good look at the shooter or his vehicle. The murder was definitely not random, though. So that's something that they believed right from the get-go. The shooter did exhibit poor aim because he did fire 9 shots and only hit the guy 4 times. Instead of just maybe firing a couple of shots and getting it done like that,
It's
he
also
just...
a moving vehicle, so...
Yeah, but still, he
Well, weren't they stopped in traffic when he got shot?
yeah, they pulled right up to him. It was like a drive-by kind of thing.
Right.
So that's kind of,
never shot him.
but basically that's kind of what they got when they put a profile together,
Right.
a mental breakdown of it, just some random guy. Basically, it could have been anybody, somebody that was paid to do it, or even somebody
not connected that they just kind of threw the money at.
Right. And then I believe the FBI even got involved.
Yes. They got involved shortly after the shooting, once it expanded to include fraud. So just as Maurice's wife had charged them, in 2014, the FBI raided Doral, seizing computers from Wakeman, his secretary, and other executives. So in February, Rivera and Figueroa were actually arrested and charged with fraud. The federal indictment said that Figueroa changed the cleaning company's contract, said it was getting paid $24,288.27 every week instead of monthly.
I'm in the wrong business.
Holy shit.
You guys want to start a cleaning business?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they wrongfully took about $2.4 million.
Jesus,
Wow.
that is crazy.
That's an expensive cleaning service.
2 days later, on February 25th, the FDIC closed Doral's doors for good. That was
Good.
the end. The agency spent, get this, $698.4 million, making Doral's depositors whole. So what that means is basically those people that have deposited and had money in Doral,
Right.
the government had to cough up all that money to pay those people, to give them the money they had in that bank.
Oh my.
Their checking
God.
accounts, their savings accounts, their...
Right.
What
I
the
have to say, being a
hell?
banker and telling people about the FDIC, it kind of makes me feel good knowing that they do actually do what they're supposed to do.
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, like we had said earlier, Puerto Rico at this time is experiencing a poor economy anyways. So you do that, and then you get all these people, and you don't give them their money.
Right. I couldn't imagine.
It's,
Right.
it's totally crazy. Many of the branches, along with the headquarters, were sold to Popular. Yeah, another Puerto Rican bank. The headquarters building is empty now. A rusty outline remains with the Doral sign used to just hang, where it used to hang. So it's just kind of there, a shadow of what it used to be, the headquarters. Days after the bank failed, Santeria Santeria. Stories surfaced in the local newspaper. So that's probably when this all really started to come out.
Right, and they just probably speculated a whole bunch.
Yeah. El Nuevo Dia wrote that there had been a ritual with a caiman. That's when that all came out, too. So I think that was at that time is when it was all made public.
Right.
That's pretty interesting. Then I think things, if you kind of go ahead a couple of years to about October of 2015, I think we start to get a break.
Yeah, the agents looking into the murder caught a break. A man on Puerto Rico's most wanted list was arrested at San Juan's airport. He'd worked for Figueroa in his janitorial company. So his name was Yadiel Serrano Caneles, a.k.a. Montombo.
We're going with Moto.
Moto? We're going to call him Moto?
That's what I'm going with.
So according to the prosecutors, he was a member of a gang that dealt cocaine and heroin in San Juan's Villa Esperanza housing projects. In a court filing, the FBI agent described a June 2012 indictment that got Moto on the most wanted list. So basically what happened, it was just after 1 a.m. He went with a friend to a bar and approached 3 off-duty police officers who were hanging out. It's basically right across from projects. So they exchanged some words. Moto left. Then he came back with a gun and said, and it's quoted,
Smart.
"Put down the phone, dick sucker."
Ooh. Those are fighting words.
Damn.
So then the officers actually pulled out their own guns.
I'm glad it was their guns they pulled out.
Right. So everybody's...
Yeah, right.
Everybody's got guns now. And he actually ended up grabbing a nearby woman by her hair who yells out, Motombo, please don't do this. And he ran away firing 4 times in the police officer's direction and then escaped the island in 2015.
So how does this tie this guy into the potential killing of Spagnoletti?
Well, in 2015, he turned himself in.
Ah.
Well, that was for the police thing.
Right.
Right.
So
they interrogated him when he turned himself in, and they actually suspected that he was the driver of the shooter who shot Spagnoletti.
I wonder where they got that kind of assumption.
I couldn't find out where they figured it out. It must have been something that they asked him or something he let slip during that interrogation.
Yeah, a lot of times people start talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot of information on where they have evidence of that. They just suspect that he did it.
Maybe because it's still an active case, they don't want to. There's certain things that they don't want to let out yet.
Because it still is active today. They didn't charge him with that, but he was in federal custody, facing attempted murder charges for the police shooting. He pleaded not guilty, and his lawyer declined to comment on that.
Of course, because that's usually what they do.
Right.
Now, in November, Wakeman's secretary, Velez, was arrested and charged with perjury of telling the grand jury she didn't know about the payments to the Santeria priest. So she's in trouble now. Things are starting to... Legal action starting to come to a lot of this. Prosecutors say that she instructed 2 Doral employees to pay Rivera weekly rather than monthly. Velez, of course, pled not guilty. And also her lawyers declined to comment as well. And then that'll take us to April, I believe.
Of 2016, yeah. The case takes another turn. U.S. prosecutors move to drop charges against Rivera and Figueroa. They withdrew the indictment without prejudice, meaning they can file new charges with more information if they choose to later on in the future.
Yeah, they probably just didn't think they had enough to get a conviction.
I'm watching you. It's basically what they did.
That's what I would take, too.
Yeah.
We'll get you, just not today.
Yeah, right. You're free for now.
Totally crazy. Now, also, I think to really kind of fast forward, we'll go to December 11th of 2018, because that's really when this story picks up.
Right. They actually charged 6 people with the murder. There was...
And this is something, not to cut you off, but this is something that not a whole lot of information is out about either. And again, most likely probably because they haven't gone to court yet fully.
Right. I mean, this was just a couple of months ago. So.
Yeah. So
right.
It hasn't even... Yeah. So.
But this is what is known of this.
Right. So basically, federal authorities, they did announce that they have solved the high-profile killing of Spagnoletti. So U.S. Attorney Rosa Emilia Rodriguez said that 6 men have been charged in the case, including 4 who are facing murder charges, 4 of the suspects who were already in prison on other charges, and 2 others were arrested in their homes in northern Puerto Rico on the Wednesday before. All 6 face potential death penalty.
Wow.
One of the subjects.
Well, that's a little harsh for bank fraud.
Well, no.
This is for the murder.
This is for the murder.
Oh,
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
So the suspects include Rolando Rivera. He's the one that owned the cleaning company and had received the millions of dollars under that maintenance contract with the bank. Spagnoletti actually had canceled that as part of his investigation because he found the amount outlandish.
Yeah, $22,000 a week. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think it was like 24.
That's
Yeah,
some good
24,
cleaning.
sorry.
That's
Yeah.
a hell of a cleaning job.
Right? Are you licking the floors?
Yeah, you better be cleaning them with your tongue.
The company was actually being used for money laundering. Spagnoletti became an incumbent, so they had him killed. The suspects facing murder charges were identified as Rivera, also Luis Carmona, Yadiel Serrano, Alex Burgos. They were charged with murder. And then charged with aiding and abetting was Alan Lugo and Fabiani Almestica. So it wasn't immediately clear if the suspects had attorneys, but the authorities said the suspects are members of an organization responsible for at least 2 other killings.
So that's kind of interesting because it's like things start to come out, and there's this one incident of money laundering, but you almost wonder if there might have been more businesses that they were funneling money through. There must have been.
I mean, there had to be. They never put all their chips in one bucket.
No, so you almost wonder where else that money was going to,
And what those other murders were.
and enough to get somebody killed, enough for all of this to have come.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Rodriguez declined to provide more details about this incident, about the amount of the contracts, saying it wasn't part of the evidence that would be revealed at the trial. So apparently that's something that wasn't that important. It's probably more behind the murder itself.
Right.
But anyways, these guys have not been to court yet. I mean, they're locked up, and I believe they'll be going to court here in 2019.
We'll probably
Let's
be
hope so.
doing a follow-up episode at
Yeah.
some point.
So what do you think? I mean, it's kind of weird because, I mean, it isn't a solved case. Typically, episodes we've talked about have been things that were solved, or at least things that have been exhausted to the point where there wasn't any more information really coming out. But there's a lot here that we don't know, and that's just basically because
They're not. They're keeping tight-lipped until it goes through court.
they're keeping tight-lipped till
Right.
it goes through court. But it sounds like from what we've read and from what we've researched here is that there's enough that they know who it is. So you almost wonder what's going to happen as far as legal penalties owed back to the United States and all this other stuff that goes on, if any of that's even going to be followed through.
Right.
Well, I don't know how they could follow that through if the bank has already been closed for 4 years.
Yeah, but I mean, as you know, as things are unfolding here, and there's other people getting charged, and
True.
not just for the murders, but other things that are coming out now
right,
as
because
well.
this could end up going back to some of those executives and.
Right, because I mean, I bet you there's probably ways you could even tie these executives maybe
Somebody
into that
knew
murder
what was
as well.
going on.
Well, if this bank is closed down, these executives may not even have that money anymore. I mean, it's potential.
Well, like we said, Wakeman's already working for another big company, so.
That's true.
So that's pretty. It's going to be pretty interesting to see what happens here, how this all ends.
I'm
Right.
definitely going to watch this unfold.
Definitely
Yeah,
gonna have to watch
in
this unfold.
Spanish.
Yeah,
I'll
that
translate
was,
for you guys.
That was the thing. There was a lot of YouTube, but nothing in English.
Right.
So that was kind of not a really good resource on this one, but
That's okay.
nonetheless, kind of a fairly interesting story, I thought.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's got murder, it's got fraud, it's got money.
I
What
have
else do you
one
need?
question. Were the balloons red before or after he got shot?
Both.
Oh,
They went from
all
red
right.
to redder.
All right. All right. I didn't expect that honest of an answer.
Probably the worst birthday you could ever imagine,
Oh,
Yeah,
I couldn't.
unfortunately. And of course, if anybody else knows any information, get in
Reach out.
contact with the
1-800 The
authorities.
Lost.
I don't know if that works down there. Probably does, but get in
Try it.
contact, get some word out, and While you're getting your word out, we're going to get our social media word out, I believe. Huh, Jake?
Facebook, Stories from the Shed. Instagram, Stories from the Shed podcast. We're on YouTube. Our downloads are going up. It's really interesting to watch. I'm not going to lie.
Thank you. Keep sharing.
Yeah, not only that, but it's interesting to watch how those numbers aren't really tied into the amount of downloads we get. So you get to watch like two different numbers. It's really cool.
Super fun to watch.
Yep.
So keep sharing. We thank you for that.
Yes, thank you very much. Twitter, the gayest of all the social media. Stories from Shed. And Gmail, sftspodcast@gmail.com. Send us some story ideas.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for coming on, Erica. We appreciate it.
No
We
problem.
love the
Thanks for
drinks
having
here.
me.
Yeah.
Let us slow
Thanks
it
for
down
the drinks,
a little
even though
bit.
they slowed me down.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Good night.
Bye.